everyone. Hi, my name is Anatai. I'm a registered dietitian, also board certified specialist in pediatrics, and I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And I'm here to talk about eating and binge eating, weight issues, and stuff like that. But today I didn't prepare any questions to answer, so I'm just going to talk about like this topic that I see a lot in my patient, and that's kind of majority of the patient, um, adult patient refer to me is people doing all the right thing, dieting, exercising, and still not losing weight, and also a lot of binge eating. So I'm going to talk about all that. So most of the patient or the referrals I get from doctors will say something like, patient trying to lose weight but try dieting, exercising, or try everything and nothing seems to work. Please evaluate and treat. So I know a lot of these patients have tried many different things. I have patients who try water pills, ketogenic diet. I've seen a lot of that. I'll talk a little bit about that. Um, try exercising a lot, CrossFit, going to the gym every day, riding riding bikes, um, and running. There's a lot of running miles every day, weightlifting, and then and what else? um, Pilates, yoga, do the lemonade diet, cabbage soup diet, slim fast, smoothie fast, whatever fast, Weight Watchers, and yeah. So even actually, I even get a lot of patients who are who is still struggling with weight after gastric bypass surgery. I've seen many of those as well. So yeah, so basically, a lot of the people that comes to me or that I work with struggle with a weight issue, trying all this conventional, traditional type of things. So, and I see that I totally understand where you're coming from, how you're feeling so frustrated, especially, um, and I do tend to focus more on women because women seems to have the hardest time struggling with weight loss with the conventional advice that we give out. And I'm going to explain all of that as we go through today's thing. So I see a lot of women, they have like supportive spouse, supportive boyfriends, so they'll work out together, eat healthy together, and then they'll be like, my husband, my boyfriend, they eat the same thing, and they just like that lose like 10, 15 pounds in a month, and then the woman will maybe possibly lose like 4, 6 pounds a month. And this is even when I give them the with it. So yeah, I see your frustration. You try everything, just nothing seems to work. And the other thing that I see a lot of is struggling with emotional eating and stress. Like pretty much like at first I didn't even think about that, right? Until recently I realized that almost every woman who comes to see me struggling with weight loss try every different kind of diet, starvation type of diet, counting calories, everything. Everyone seems to have anxiety and depression. But yeah, then I start thinking more into this their situation, and I actually have another blog that talks about ADHD and nutrition, and it all makes sense now because when you're starving your body, you're not just starving your body, you're also starving your brain because when you're not eating enough, not only is your body's not getting enough energy, but your brain is also not getting enough energy, not enough resources to make the brain chemicals that keep you happy, keep you alive, right? Well, you barely survival. So basically, you're in a survival state. So yeah, and and I know you feel frustrated, feeling like you're alone, but just well, it might or might not make you feel better. But the statistics is over 98% of dieting effort fails. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, what kind of bullshit is that? Yes, that is totally bullshit, right? Like, how could we, as a healthcare professional, giving out advice that doesn't work 90% of the time, or at least 98 on yeah 98% of the time. Like if if the weight loss advice that we've been giving out all these years, calorie deficit, exercising to create more calorie deficit, is working. Why is it that today 72% of the population of the United States is overweight? If all that advice is working, why is so many, over half of the population is overweight? Can you imagine? Overweight has become the new norm. And that doesn't mean that it is fine. We should find and search deeper for the reason why. And I'm going to talk about all that. So I want to briefly talk about the ketogenic diet because I'm pretty sure many of you listening out there or watching the replay is going to have a story that say, oh yeah, I tried the ketogenic diet and it works wonderful. I feel so much better, have so much more energy. I lost like 30, 40 pounds. So I have a lot of patients who comes to me asking me to help. And I usually ask them what they have tried before, and many of them did try the ketogenic diet. And and nothing wrong with that, but I'm just gonna explain to you what and why it doesn't work. With the ketogenic diet, like sometimes depending on who you are, I might recommend that. And with the ketogenic diet, I'm very familiar with that because I'm a pediatric dietitian. I work with a lot of children with seizure, and we put kids who have seizure that medication cannot treat. We put them on ketogenic diet. So I know how to do the ketogenic diet and everything. But I'm going to explain to you the ketogenic in terms of using as weight loss. So with the ketogenic diet, it does help because when you take out all that carbs from your diet, your insulin level comes down because it's only when the insulin level is low at a certain level that when your body opens up the fat store to use as energy. So that's basically what the ketogenic diet is. The problem with the ketogenic diet, and it does work for weight loss, the problem with it is it doesn't actually teach you about healthy eating. And if you want to sustain that weight loss, you have to stay on that same regimen for the rest of your life if you want to lose weight. And it is the same problem with a low calorie diet. With a low calorie diet, if you can lose weight at 1200 calories and working out like an hour every day, and if that is the strategy that gets you to lose weight, and if you want to keep that weight loss, you have to keep that lifestyle for the rest of your life. And a lot of times people cannot because living a 1200 calories a day lifestyle, exercising to like hour, 2 hours a day is too. Also with the ketogenic diet, it is some of the food actually tastes good, but it's just not sustainable for most people. And most people eventually miss the other food so much that they just like, oh, forget it. I lost the 30, 40 pounds already. I'm out of the I'm out of the zone. I can go back to eating what I want. And then they gain all the way back. The 30, 40 pounds come back with some extra friends. So that's the problem with all that dieting. And sorry. Okay. And the problem is not really just with the ketogenic diet, it's the whole idea of dieting is flawed because the whole idea of dieting for most people is that, oh yeah, I'll just go on a diet and then I'll lose like couple 5, 10 pounds so I can look good, fit into my wedding dress or fit into the bathing suit for the vacation. So a lot of people use this dieting um, what should I say, dieting strategy or dieting hack just to get some short term weight loss because the whole thing is that you're just changing your behavior temporarily to achieve a temporary goal. But in order to have longer term, longer sustainable weight loss and keep your weight off completely, you really have to dig deep, deep, deep inside emotionally and ask yourself truly what is the reason why you want to keep that weight off. And also, and I'm not just talking about the biological side of things, I'm talking about psychology as well. Because that's what I noticed from my practice with all these patients is that I I can give you the perfect diet that can get your weight off easily without cutting calories, without exercising like crazy. I have that I have that formula and everything. And I'm able to get my patient to lose weight. But always, 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 after 2, 3 months, everyone refers back to normal. It's like something will happen. Like one of my patients, she got sick from cleaning. So she was cleaning the house. She was doing really well. Then one day she decided to clean the house, and then she said she somehow maybe um, inhaled too much of the cleaning product, so she got sick. And then she's like, oh, I just can't do the diet anymore, so I start eating all the junk food again. Or my other patient, because I work in a military hospital, so there's a lot of military spouses that I work with. Oh, my husband got deployed, or my kid's schedule changed. So a lot of or family visiting. We live in Hawaii. So when these people are stationed in Hawaii, their friends like, oh, I want to come visit you because they have a home with an extra room, right? So so it's all these little things that will like come in, and then they'll totally throw out the whole diet and then refers back to what they were doing before. So that's where I get frustrated. And and well, I didn't even talk about the very beginning of the story where I discovered this whole formula, but maybe later. But yeah, so I noticed, so I first noticed that all of this patient coming to me not able to lose weight, following that conventional advice where you cut your calories 500 calories a day, exercise 30 minutes an hour a day. They're not losing weight. And then the next thing that I notice is that I can get these people to finally lose weight now, but they're not able to keep it off because every little thing triggers them and they go back to how they were eating before. So so that leads me to kind of my own little journey trying to find ways to help these people. Then I realized that eating is not all about biology, but there's a lot of psychology involved with it because 90% of our decision is really not all based on logical. Because how many of you ever have like you went to a party, someone offered you cake, or you have pizza and stuff, and you know you shouldn't eat those, right? Or actually I shouldn't say you shouldn't eat those, but at least you kind of know in your head that, oh yeah, I should have the third slice of pizza, right? Or the third scoop of ice cream, or something like that. You know logically you shouldn't do that, but then somewhere deep inside it's like, eat the pizza. You're not gonna have it ever again. Or eat the ice cream, eat the cookies, or whatever. So there's always that inner voice in you that wants you to eat those things. And that's something that we're going to talk about. And that's something you're going to see a lot of in my blogs, over here on the Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, so there's a psychological side of that, and we'll see where this whole discussion goes. But going back to why you cannot lose weight, and despite trying everything, dieting, and exercising like crazy, and you're like, I'm in a calorie deficit, but why am I still not losing weight? So one thing I'm gonna surprise you here, and you might not believe me, but just bear with me and be open minded. The reason why you cannot lose weight, or for some of you who are even gaining weight, is caused by dieting. And I know it sounds crazy, right? Like for for what last 30, 40 years, everyone's telling you to lose weight, you just go on a diet, eat less than what you burn, and you should lose weight. But research is actually showing that the number one cause of not able to lose weight or even gaining weight despite dieting and exercising is actually dieting. Dieting is the um, number one cause of weight gain, and also number one cause of binge eating. And the binge eating is a lot more complicated than that. If we have time today, we might touch on that a little bit. But yeah, so these are research. Sorry, I have to use my note because I don't remember all the names of the research. So yeah, I'm going to share with you 4 research here today that shows and support the idea that dieting is actually not your best friend and it's causing you a lot of the misery. That's the reason why you're here today. So there's a lot of times people will say something like, "Oh yeah, I have the fat genes, that's why I can't lose weight," right? But that statement usually comes from someone who's tried losing weight many years, and then finally, because there's no success, they just give up, like, you know what? Maybe I just have the fat genes and I'm just gonna be fat and this is who I am. But I'm here to tell you it is not genetics, it is epigenetics. And I talk about that in my book and I'll discuss a little bit here. Okay, so the number one studies that I want to share is a study on twins. So you know how twins, so these are identical twins who have the same genetics. So what they do with that is a Finland studies on 2,000 set of twins. So what they do with these studies is they separate the twins. So one twin they put on a diet and the other twin they just leave them alone. So what they found is that the twin that went on a diet becomes overweight, and what they also found that is that the risk factor or the chance of becoming overweight or the severity of it becomes worse and worse as each um, the more the twin diet, the more weight the twin gain weight. So this proves that dieting or your body weight is really not genetics, because these twins have the same genetic makeup, but the twin who went on a diet actually gained weight and become overweight, and the twin who didn't diet just stayed the same. The second study is on, well, I have the name. Oh yeah, I have the names here. Anyway, the second study is on 12, no, 17,000 kids between age 9 and 14. Yeah, this studies is actually quite sad. These are like teenagers who are actually on a diet. So, um, so what they saw is that the teens, the 9 to 14-year-old, the ones who go on more attempts have increased incidence of binge eating. And these are 9 to 14 years old. And here's the statistics between boys and girls. The boys were 5 times more likely to develop binge eating compared to the non dieting counterparts. And for girls, the girls' incident of binge eating was 12 times more in the ones who were dieting. So this study shows that dieting doesn't work to control weight, but it actually increases the chance of being overweight and also increase the risk of binge eating. Oh yeah, they also look at the weight gain as well. So they show the same thing. The more dieting attempts, the more they become overweight. So this study shows two things: dieting doesn't work, dieting causes weight gain, and dieting causes binge eating. And then the number three, there are a lot more studies out there. I'm just showing the few that is more relatable here. Um, the third studies is actually the Women's Health Initiative. So this is a long-term like population study, and they look at 20,000 women. What they did is they didn't even put these women on a very strict diet that I see sometimes in my patient, like 1,200 calories a day, 800 calories a day diet. Like I didn't put them on this. They come to me putting themselves on this diet. So I reverse all that. So like in this study with 20,000 of women, what they do is they only cut out 360 calories, only 360 calories, which basically is a meal, right? So, and then they look at all the patients or the subjects' outcome after 8 years. After 8 years, they didn't see any weight loss. So no one lose weight on eating 360 calories each. But what they also found is that after these 8 years, eating 360 calories each or less, what they found is that this woman kept the weight the same, which is good. But the other thing is that what they found is these women actually um, develop more belly fats, so fat around the belly area. And belly fat is associated with stress and insulin resistance, and also put the person at high risk for heart disease, diabetes, insulin resistance. So even though the calorie deficit is not that significant, but it did damage the health outcome a little. Well, I shouldn't say a little. That can be a lot. If you have a family history of heart disease, and now you have a higher risk of heart disease and insulin resistance, especially if you have family history of diabetes. So it's not really little. Okay, and then the fourth study. Actually, there's another study I will talk about as well. So fourth study is sorry, let me just take a quick look on my note. Fourth study is a study by UCLA scientists in 2007. What they did is they look at is a meta-analysis, so they look at all the weight loss studies out there, and what they found was intriguing. What they found was that pretty much every weight loss attempt that uses dieting, like restricting calories, exercising a lot, and cutting calories, counting calories, all of those studies show that it doesn't work. Let me see exactly what the number is. Um, okay, I didn't have the specific numbers. I think they look at 31 long-term studies on the effectiveness of dieting. So all the studies shows that everyone initially can lose some weight, but in 5 years' time, all the weight comes back plus more. So pretty much the conclusion from the researcher is that you're actually better off doing nothing about your weight. If you don't go on a diet, just eat whatever way you're eating, you probably better off still keeping your same weight with no weight gain, no change in your belly fat. That's what the conclusion of this study. And then I want to also talk about the fifth study, which is a lot older studies, and there are no other studies like that because this study is actually quite inhumane in today's standard. But you know what? It doesn't really make sense anyway. People starve themselves. Um, so the fifth study that I want to talk about is the Minnesota starvation study, and this is actually a study that is quite frequently talked about in the eating disorder community because this study, Dr. Hansel Keys started out on this study with the intention to study how to feed starving people because during World War II, and but yeah, this study is actually around the World War II area. There's a lot of starvation going on because of the war. There's not enough resources, and there's a lot of starving people. And Dr. Hansel Keys want to find out how to help rehabilitate these people who've been starving. And for many people who doesn't know, who doesn't work in a clinical setting, we often think that, oh yeah, you haven't eaten for days, let's just feed you like a lot of food right away. There's something called refeeding syndrome, and in the hospital, it's something that is real, but like where I work, I hardly ever see once in a while when I actually have someone who's severely malnourished and we try to feed them and they do show signs of feeding syndrome. Anyway, what it is that when someone has been starving for so long, like someone who has a chronic medical condition that prevents them from eating, or someone who's so old and living by themselves and not able to feed themselves, or someone who's suffering from eating disorder and starving themselves for months. And when they come in the hospital, we cannot just right off the bat feed them 2,000 calories right off that because when we do that, it can actually kill them within hours. So when someone who's severely malnourished, they cannot be fed immediately like a whole load of food. So that's refeeding. And this is the reason why Dr. Hans Keys is studying this is to find out how or what's the most effective way to feed and rehabilitate these people back to health who are severely malnourished. If you Google some of the pictures from the World War II, like the concentration camp pictures from World War II, you see like some very disturbing pictures of people looking like a skeleton covered with skin, like no no subcutaneous fat or muscle because the person has been so malnourished for months that the body uses up all the fats and muscle. So all that's left is just a layer of skin and bones. So that's the type of people that they're dealing with in World War II. And so this study, what they do is they have, I think they pick out 28 very healthy, very strong males who are like perfectly normal health, mental, physical health, don't have eating disorder, don't have mental health disorder. So they pick out 28 of them. And what they do is they put them on a semi-starvation diet. So they were all on a 3,000 calories diet, which is very generous, right? Because back then people are a lot more active, they do a lot of heavy work. So 3,000 calories diet was their norm. Then in the actual study phase, they dropped the 3,000 calories to only 1,500 calories, which is not even complete starvation. This is 50% of what they were eating, 1,500 calories. So this man went from 3,000 calories to 1,500 calories a day. And I think they did that for at least a month or two. I can't remember all the specific. But what they found is crazy. So after the actual study phase where these men was on a 1,500 calories, they start seeing a lot of medical issues or physical issues like stomach pain, bloatedness, um, feeling weak and tired, and all of those. So that's one of it. The other craziest part is what happened to the brain after starving or only semi starvation is that they saw a lot of binge eating disorder, obsession with food, and obsessed with thinking about food all the time or hoarding food. So what they see is that these people who were on only a semi-starvation diet, they whenever they were given a chance to eat, to have food with no limitation, they eat. Some of them was eating up to 7 to 10,000 calories a day. And then they're also more obsessed with food. Like some of them, their personality change. Like they're thinking about food all the time, or they'll see some other people like wasting food, and they'll get very upset when they see people wasting food. Some even change their career and work in some kind of industry that work with food, and they were thinking about food all the time. Some of them were even hoarding food. When there's food, they're hoarding it. So it changes the mindset, and it takes them at least like 2 months to 2 years to undo all of those emotional damage from the starvation. That's how powerful this study is showing that dieting, intentional or unintentional, can have a huge impact on the psychological um, relationship with food. And I think many of us listening here or watching here can relate, right? And I've seen a lot of people. Um, I've also worked with people with eating disorder as a hypnotherapist. So we have regression going back to many of the childhood events that have caused the binge eating and disorder eating pattern. And a lot of times is always going back to some childhood memories where they're restricted. They're not allowed to have the food that they're binge eating on now. So it's kind of like a fundamental human things that whatever we don't get, we tend to obsess over it and think of it all the time and hoard it and binge on it whenever we have the chance. So yeah, those are the studies. So next, I'm going to talk more about like the science behind this whole thing. What's happening to your body when you're actually in in a dieting mode. So to define the diet or the traditional diet advice is you cut 500 calories a day. Like I've given out this advice in the very beginning of my career too. Like that's like the gold standard, right? When someone come to you and they want to lose weight, you're like, okay, so in order to lose weight, and assuming you want to lose body fat, right? Because no one wants to lose the muscle. Everyone wants to lose fat. So 1 pound of fat is about 3,500 calories. So If we're going to lose 1 pound of body fat a week, we're going to cut 500 calories a day, and you're going to lose 1 pound of body fat a week, right? That sounds so legitimate. That sounds so logical, right? And it worked. Initially, if this is your new first few times trying to lose weight and diet, this worked wonderfully. Like for a first timer, this always works. But you know the reason why you're here is because you have been dieting for like 5, 10 years and it's still struggling, right? And then initially, the first few times you dieted, oh wow, I just cut out one meal or cut out some fatty food and I lose weight just like that. So you're like, oh, okay, then I lose the weight. Okay, I can eat whatever I want now, go back to my old dieting. Then the next time I need to lose the weight, like a friend's wedding or going to this vacation in Cancun or Bali, I need to look good in my bathing suit. I'll just go on a diet and then lose the weight just like that, and I'll be good, right? That's your thought. But after like 10, 15 times, oh, sorry, I need to move so my legs don't fall asleep. Okay, sorry. um, yeah, so after 10, 15 times of doing this same thing, you realize that, oh my God, what happened? This used to work. I used to just cut out 500 calories, exercise at the gym every day, and then I can lose that 5, 10 pounds just like that. What happened? It just stopped working. And then when you talk to your doctor or your dietitian or your nutritionist, they're like, yeah, because you're older now. You're like 30 years old. You're 40 years old. You know, when you get older, your metabolism slows down. And I just have this conversation just the other day with a patient. He's like 100 something pounds overweight, right? And he's like 30 something. And someone told him, actually, someone who was doing his body analysis was telling him that, oh, yeah, when you get older, your metabolism just slows down. So it's just part of life. Here, do this thing. I don't know what he gave him to boost metabolism, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't work out. Pretty sure he tried everything. So my question is, if if that logic is actually correct, everyone about 30, everyone about 40, everyone about 50, 60, 70s, if as they get older, the metabolism slows down and everyone becomes fat after 30 years old, why are there still skinny people out there? I can attest to that. Like, I'm not here to make you feel bad. I know some of you out there looking at me like, oh, yeah, of course, it's easy for you to say that. You're like so skinny. You probably eat everything that you want and not gain weight. Um, no, I can gain weight if I want to. And if I eat all the junk food, I will gain weight just like everyone else. But I watch what I eat and I can teach you to do the same thing. Okay? But yeah, so the metabolism decrease with age is not true. What happened is the dieting, the things that you're doing to your body over the years is causing your metabolism to go down. What most people don't realize is when you cut out that 500 calories, this is the two assumption when you're doing that. When you cut that 500 calories, whether you do, or some of you actually cutting out 1,000 calories, I know you out there, or your dietitian, your doctors, or whoever tell you, oh, cut 500 calories a day. So you assume that when you cut the 500 calories, your body metabolism stays here, right? Because when, okay, just wash my hands for a little bit. I don't have papers or anything to explain this. But this is what happened. The assumption is that this is your metabolism right now, right? So when you cut 500 calories, you cut 500 calories. So you now create a deficit. And if your metabolism stays here, you should lose weight, right? Okay, but that's not the case. Your body is a survival machine. When you cut that 500 calories, your body actually drops its metabolism to match the 500 calories. And you know the reason why? If you usually get a paycheck of $2,000 a month, you spend $2,000 a month, right? But if all of a sudden you only get $1,500 a month, you don't still keep spending $2,000. You only have $1,500 to spend. Like so many times, I have my patient come back and they can't eat healthy because someone messed up their paycheck, and they're like, "I haven't gotten my paycheck for a while, or I only got half of my paycheck, so we can't afford to buy groceries like the last 2 months, right?" So that's what happened. When you drop 500 calories, your metabolism drop 500 calories. When you drop 1,000, your body drop 1,000. That's what happening in your body. Second thing, when you're told to cut that 500 calories a day to lose 1 pound of body fat a week, the assumption is that when your body burns that extra fat or extra energy, it is coming from the fat store. Actually, it is not, because when you decrease the calories intake, your body switch on starvation mode. In starvation mode, your body protects fat, so you're actually not burning fat. Initially, like I see this all the time when people like first few times trying to lose weight and cut that 500 calories out, people lose crazy weight. Like first week, people can lose like 4 pounds. And you're like, oh wow, very good, you lost 4 pounds. But we don't realize, and I made the same mistakes too. Like they're like they thought that they lose 4 pounds of fat, but actually you lost 4 pounds of muscle. And actually, well, maybe a lot of water in there. Because when your body try to burn that extra calories, because you're forcing your body to burn calories with exercise too, your body is actually breaking down muscle tissue or organ tissue for energy. And muscle is 70% water. So you're actually losing a lot of water weight initially. That's exciting, right? But you just assume it's fat. And then as the time goes on, eventually you hit a plateau because you're like, why is this not working? I'm supposed to keep losing 1 pound a week and 4 pounds a month, right? Then eventually, again, your body catch up with your metabolism. No, your body metabolism catch up with your caloric intake. Then over time, you're like, oh my God, it doesn't work. Let me cut another 500 calories. Then your body metabolism cut a little bit more. And then over time, your metabolism just keep going low. And then one day you're like, you know what, forget it. This bullshit doesn't work. So I'll just go back to eating what I was eating before. So you go back to eating 2,000 calories. But now your metabolism is not at 2,000 calories anymore. Your metabolism is. So now when you go back to eating what you were eating before, you gain all that lost weight back, but now you see how you have that gap. Because before, when you were eating 2,000 calories, your body's burning 2,000 calories. But now you're back to eating your 2,000 calories that you normally eat, but your body is is operating at 1,500 calories or 1,000 calories, right? So now you have an excess of 500 or 1,000 calories. That's how you gain all that weight back plus the extra because your metabolism have been messed up. So that's what happened to your body. And then on top of that, um, so your metabolism is messed up, and then the other thing is when your body, so again, your body is not burning fat to use as energy. Your body is actually using muscle mass. So when your body is trying to preserve survival, keep you to stay as long alive as possible, is preserving the fat till last minute, but it's burning or using up muscle mass, organ tissue. So your body actually start eating itself to preserve for survival. And in medicine, we're still not very sure why the body is breaking itself down. We call autoimmune disorder. So whatever that you're dealing with, that you're told your body is eating itself, is killing itself, you have an autoimmune disorder, is because of the starvation over the years. Your body is breaking itself down for energy, for survival. And that's what autoimmune disorder is. It's not because your body get confused and can't tell foreign tissue and its own tissue. It is your body's survival mechanism trying to keep you alive as long as possible. Because when you go on a diet and starve yourself for days, your body doesn't realize that you have food in the refrigerator that you're not allowing yourself to have. Your body's innate basic instinct is that starvation is here, famine is here. I don't know when's the next time we're gonna have food. Let's go on survival mode, shut down all the fat store, and block it all out, and put up all this high stress hormone to get into fight or flight response. And that's why these people are suffering from anxiety, because your body is in a stress mode. Anxiety is when you're constantly worrying about things. So your body is in a state of survival, thinking that something bad is going to happen. So your anxiety is through the roof because you're like, oh my God. So your body is starving. Starving your body is feeding back to your mind that we need to watch out. Dangers here, dangers here, dangers here. So that's how all these people who are on a diet forever suffer with so much anxiety. And I know it helps because when my patient actually changed the way they eat, start feeding the body normally, stop worrying about calories, stop worrying about the number on the scale, my patient was like, I don't know what happened to my anxiety. I don't have anxiety anymore. And it just disappeared. And this is without medication. The person just changed the way that they eat, changed the way of how they're looking at food, and actually allow themselves to eat whatever they want without judgment, without saying that, oh, you're such a bad person. You shouldn't have eaten that cookies. You shouldn't have eaten the ice cream. You're so bad. I can't believe you do that. When you change how you feed your body and how you communicate with your mind, your anxiety disappear as well. And actually, when you feed your body properly, everything just improves. You feel like a different person. And that's what my patient said. She's so much happier, have so much more energy. And sorry, if I'm looking down, I'm just looking at my notes. Um, yeah, so those are some of the things that dieting does to your body. Okay, the mind. So we talked about the fifth study earlier, the Minnesota starvation study. So the other thing that happens to your body when you're starving is that you actually created this eating disorder. So what happened is a lot of people lose some weight, then lose some more. They're like, oh wow, this is great. I love how my body feels now. So then that kind of creates like a feedback that, oh yeah, not eating is good for me because I start having all this compliment, getting all this attention from men, and like people are so nice to me now that I look skinnier and have all this attention. So all that positive kind of feeds back to reinforce all this negative behavior. Then what we see is a lot of times people started out dieting just to lose a few pounds, then they get deeper and deeper, become an obsession, and turns into an eating disorder. And also binge eating. So that's again with all the studies that we look at. The studies we look at earlier shows that dieting can cause binge eating behavior. So for those of you suffering from binge eating, one of the things that you need to ask yourself is that, am I eating this food because I told myself I cannot have it? Because you know that when you want a cookie today, or someone offer you a cupcake which you really, really wanted, and you tell yourself you cannot have it, and you keep thinking about that cupcake, that cookie, that candy, or ice cream, the next 3 days, you start obsessing about those food. By the third day, you're like, forget it. I'm just going to have the cupcake. And when you have that cupcake, you don't stop at one. You keep eating a second one, the third one, the fourth one, sixth one, and you just eat until you're stuffed. And just know that I want to let you know here, nothing wrong with you. It's not because you have no motivation or have no willpower or because you're a bad person or because you're lazy. You did not binge because of all of that. You binge because you didn't allow yourself to have that cookies the first time. You binge because someone told you that if you need to lose weight or be healthy or be a good person, you cannot eat cupcakes or cookies or things like that. Here is something that I want you to do. Do it out of the love for yourself, okay? If you're here watching this, I know you want to do better for yourself. I know you want to have a better life and better relationship with food. So you should applaud yourself for showing up here today because many people who wouldn't even show up here today. So I applaud you for that. But I want to give you one homework today. For the next week, if ever that thought came up in your mind that, oh, I want something sweet. Oh, I want a piece of candy. Or I want a piece of a cupcake or something. Allow yourself to have that. When you have that thought this moment, have that cookie, cupcake, ice cream, whatever, now, not 2 days later, not 3 days later. You know, when you wait 2, 3 days, fourth day later, or even a week later, you're going to binge on it. It's like a rubber band. When you don't allow yourself to have something, you stretch that rubber band. Day one, you stretch. Day two, day three, day four. It's just a matter of time that that rubber band is going to stretch or snap. And boom, it snap and it's going to hit you hard. So don't stretch that rubber band. Leave that rubber band alone. And if you want something sweet, eat it now. Because when you eat it now, say thank you, God, for giving me this wonderful taste bud to taste this food. And that's it. Even if you eat 2 cupcakes, it's okay. You need to learn to accept yourself. And then follow me. I actually have a meal plan that you can follow. And you can download. I'll put it in the link later. And for those of you on Instagram, you'll be able to find that link in the bio. And for those of you on Facebook, I'll have the link in the comment later. So yeah, so binge eating is usually out of not allowing yourself to have, and you just keep obsessing. Other reasons, I'll try to list all the reasons. Other reasons for binge eating could be a biological drive, like part of it is stress, because when we're in a stress mode with the stress hormone, it actually makes you crave sugar more. Because what happened is, um, especially for people with insulin resistance, stress can be one of the significant source of high blood sugar or insulin resistance. Because when you're in a stress mode, your body's preparing you to run. In order to run really fast in a snap of time like that, you need to have a lot of immediate source of energy, and sugar in the blood is an immediate source of energy. So stress could cause you to binge eat more, and that's only part of the thing. Some people might be binge eating because that is a coping mechanism that you use, or some way to numb the pain, because food is really not just calories. Food are chemical signals to the brain. So for some food actually triggers the dopamine response. This is especially true with a lot of the processed food that have a lot of sugar, artificial sugar, or even sugar added to it, and a lot of high carb, high fat, high carb, high sugar food tends to trigger the dopamine response. And when you eat those food, you have that dopamine surge and you feel good for a little bit, right? So can you imagine when you have a yucky day, a bad day at work, you fight with your spouse, your kids giving you issue, and then you eat a cupcakes and a handful of M&Ms, suddenly your brain just light up like, oh wow, all my problems are gone for a couple minutes, right? So that dopamine surge from all that sugary processed food actually triggers your brain to actually like the next time you have stress, the brain's like, go for a sugar, go for a sugar, get the M&Ms, get the M&Ms, get the ice cream, right? So your brain is now trained to want to have sugar because every time you have sugar, your brain lights up in joy. So it's kind of like a um, self-medicate therapy. It's the same as when people drink alcohol. So you eat sugary stuff to get that boost of dopamine and serotonin to help you calm down, make you happy for a little bit. People drink alcohol to numb the the unpleasant pain or unpleasant emotional pain that they have. It's all the same. And people say that you're addicted to food. It's possibly true. I'm not going to say that it is 100% for everyone, but you need to look at your situation. And that's why, like a lot of times with my patient who's dealing with emotional eating and binge eating, I have them start a food journal. I have them write down everything that they eat, what time they eat, and the feelings, what they were feeling at the time, and the hunger, fullness. Because sometimes we don't eat just because we're hungry. We all eat because it's fun. Like, I'm not immune to that. I'm a dietitian. I'm supposed to know everything. But when the time comes, or when I'm bored, or when I'm in the store, I was like, oh, let's see what fun food they have. Like, I eat for fun too, but I don't allow my body to starve for days and then snap. Like, I have a cupcakes here and there, and I learn to recognize and keep asking myself question, is this good cupcake or not? And I learned over the years. Like, I struggled with this too when I was a brand new dietitian, just like everyone else, go on diets, doing all the things that I'm taught in school, right? Then now I learned that, you know what? I love my body. I only put good stuff in it. If the cupcake tastes yucky, I take one bite, I put it in the trash. If the candy is yucky, I put it in the trash. I buy expensive cookies. I buy expensive chocolate because I love my body and I really love my taste bud to eat only good stuff. I don't just put any random things in my body. Um, and again, I'm not trying to tell you this to make you feel bad or make myself look like a goddess or anything. To unlearn that bad behavior, because before I'll just used to go to like a vending machine, get a candy bar just because I was tired. I just want something fun to eat, right? But now, like, ew, the candy bar is so gross with all those preservative and stuff like that. I'm not eating that, right? So I just keep my own stash of like good candies at my desk and all of those. So there are many ways to deal with this binge eating rather than buying into all this whole healthy eating that the food manufacturer tried to tell us that is good, but it's not, right? Because ultimately, remember, even though sometimes we eat because food makes us feel good, like emotionally too, like just like who doesn't like cake? Like I'm not crazy about cake, but if I'm at a birthday party, at a wedding, and they have a really, really good cake, I'll eat it. But I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, you're such a bad person. You're a dietitian. You should be so ashamed of yourself. Why are you eating cake? You tell your patient you're supposed to be the role model of healthy eating. No, I'm just a human. I love all the sweet stuff just as much as you do, but I choose to eat it in a way that honor my body and honor and respect my body. I, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I'm trying to help you out here and understand that there are many reasons to eat. You need to ask yourself deeper down, why are you binge eating? So what I'm trying to tell you is there's the psycho there's the psychological drive and the emotional no, there's the psycho yeah, the psychological or emotional drive to binge eating, and there's also the biochemical drive to binge eating. The biochemical drive is very logical, we understand it, but then 90% of the time, the decision to eat something comes from your psychology or your emotional side. So you need to dig deeper inside yourself and ask yourself, why am I eating a whole bag of family sized Doritos by myself in the corner? Or why are you eating the whole dozen of cupcakes by yourself, hiding out in the closet eating it, right? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself more, because no one in their right mind will do that. But you are being triggered by some deeper emotional cause, and I can help you to search for that. But keep following, keep reading my posts, and if you need help, send me a message and I can help you with figuring that out. But anyway, that's it for today. So we talk about um, how dieting is actually damaging your body, damaging your psychology, damaging your relationship with food. And we also talk about a few underlying causes of binge eating, um, the psychology of it, and the biochemical part of it. And there are more and more, um, even more deeper causes to binge eating, but we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself. Give yourself a big pat on your back because you're amazing. Keep loving yourself, okay? And I'm here to help you. Any question, just put it in there, okay? All right. Thank you very much, everyone. You all have a good weekend, and we'll be back here next week. And I think next week I'm going to um, go into the Facebook group and look for questions and start answering questions. So for those of you who are not in the Facebook group yet, you can hop over to Facebook and join the group. Make sure you answer all the questions because we try to keep out all the trolls from the internet who are very mean and obnoxious. So, all right. Thank you very much, everyone. Love you all. Have a very good day and wonderful life of loving yourself. Okay? Bye.